The sidewalk never slept. Cars screamed past. Footsteps overlapped. Conversations blurred together. No one stopped. No one listened. Near the subway entrance, a homeless veteran sat on a thin, frayed blanket. His jacket was ripped at the sleeve. His boots were worn down to the sole. In front of him, an old guitar case lay open, a few coins, nothing more. He adjusted his grip on a beat-up acoustic guitar. Then he started playing. Iron Man. Not loud, not messy. Precise. Every note landed exactly where it should. The rhythm was steady. The tone was heavy with feeling, the kind that doesn't come from talent alone, but from survival. A man nearby paused mid-step. A woman slowed without realizing why. A kid tugged his mother's sleeve. That sounds really good. The veteran never looked up. His eyes stayed locked on the strings. This wasn't a performance. This was memory, muscle memory. Something learned long before life broke apart. Someone stopped recording a voice note. Another person subtly raised their phone. Still, most people walked past. Then something changed. A shadow crossed the open guitar case. The vet hesitated for half a second, expecting a coin, maybe a comment. Instead, a man dressed entirely in black stopped in front of him. A calm, almost heavy presence. He didn't speak. He didn't reach for his wallet. He lowered himself to the concrete and sat down, right beside the homeless veteran. A few people noticed, phones tilted higher. The vet stiffened, missed a chord, then corrected himself and kept playing. He didn't look up. He didn't want trouble. He just wanted to finish the song. The man nodded slightly to the rhythm, listening closely. Not as a fan. As someone who understood the song, the crowd began to thicken. Whispers started. Who is that? He looks familiar. But the veteran had no idea. No idea that a rock legend had just chosen cold concrete over comfort. No idea that this moment was about to change everything. And what happened next stunned everyone watching. The man didn't say a single word, no introduction, no phone in his hand, no security hovering nearby. He just sat there and listened. The veteran kept playing. At first, his hands trembled slightly. Then something settled. The rhythm tightened. His fingers moved faster. He leaned into the solo, pulling something raw from the strings. Pain, memory, survival poured into every note. This wasn't street noise anymore. It was a moment. People began to slow down. One person stopped completely. Another quietly lifted their phone. A small crowd formed without anyone saying a word. Someone whispered, "Why does that guy look familiar?" The man in black nodded gently to the beat, tapping his boot against the pavement. He didn't rush the song. He didn't interrupt. He listened the way musicians listen, fully. The veteran finally glanced sideways, just for a second. Enough to notice the glasses, the hair, the face. His fingers hesitated. One wrong chord rang out. He stopped playing. "Sorry," the vet muttered, lowering the guitar. "Nerves." The man smiled. Not the forced kind, but warm and steady. "Don't stop," he said quietly. "You're doing great." That voice, the veteran froze. He looked again. This time really looked. Recognition hit like a wave. His breath caught in his throat. "Wait," he whispered. The crowd leaned in. The man extended his hand, casual and unguarded. "Ozzy," he said, just that. The veteran stared. Then his eyes widened. "Ozzy Osbourne?" Ozzy nodded, almost amused. The vet let out a short laugh, shaking his head in disbelief. "You're kidding me," he said. Ozzy shook his head slowly. "I heard the song," he replied. "And I couldn't walk past it." The words landed heavier than applause ever could. The veteran sat frozen, the guitar resting uselessly in his lap. "I'm nobody," he said quietly. "Just a guy on the street." Ozzy leaned a little closer, lowering his voice so only the vet could hear. "Not to me," he said. The crowd didn't cheer. They didn't clap. They watched because they understood this wasn't about fame. It was about respect. Two men, one song. One moment that didn't need noise to matter. If music ever helped you survive a hard time, comment Faye below. They talked not on a stage, not behind cameras, right there on the sidewalk, with people standing in a loose circle, pretending not to stare, but listening to every word. The veteran spoke first. He told Ozzy he served overseas. Years in uniform. Long nights. Too many memories that never left. He talked about friends who didn't make it home. About coming back to a world that felt unfamiliar, quieter, colder. I tried working, he said. Tried fitting in. He shook his head. Didn't work. The crowd didn't move. I lost my apartment. He continued. Then my family, then myself. His fingers tightened around the guitar neck. This, he said, tapping the wood gently, is the only thing that stayed. Ozzy didn't rush him, didn't fill the silence. He listened. The vet swallowed. It keeps me sane, he said quietly, when everything else is gone. Ozzy nodded slowly. I've been there, he said after a moment. Different demons, same darkness. The vet looked at him surprised. You? He asked. You've got everything. Ozzy let out a soft chuckle. Trust me, he said. You don't outrun your mind just because you're famous. That landed hard. The crowd felt it too. No one spoke. No one moved. This wasn't about a celebrity anymore. It was two men recognizing something familiar in each other. The veteran lowered his gaze. Sometimes, he said, I think people only see what I lost. Ozzy leaned forward slightly. The vet blinked. His throat tightened. After a long pause, he picked the guitar back up this time. His grip was steadier. Ozzy nodded toward the strings. Play it again, he said gently. Finish strong. The veteran took a breath, then started Iron Man from the beginning. The opening riff echoed down the sidewalk. This time, people didn't whisper. They listened. Ozzy closed his eyes. He began humming under his breath. At first, it was barely noticeable. Then, clearer, then words. Ozzy Osbourne was singing. Not performing. Not projecting. Just singing. People gasped. A woman covered her mouth. A man lowered his phone, suddenly unsure if recording felt wrong. Ozzy's voice blended with the guitar. Rough, familiar, real. The veteran's hands shook, but he didn't stop. He played harder, stronger. The song ended on a clean, powerful chord, for a moment. Nothing. Then the sidewalk erupted. Applause. Cheers. People shouting his name. But Ozzy stayed seated. He didn't raise his hands, didn't soak it in. He turned to the veteran. That, he said quietly, was yours. And in that moment, it didn't feel like a viral clip. It felt like something rare, something human. Someone in the crowd finally said it out loud. That's Ozzy. At first, people didn't believe it. No way. It just looks like him. Are you serious? Then more phones went up. Someone zoomed in. Someone gasped. Oh my God, it is him. The crowd doubled in seconds. People crossed the street. Pedestrians stopped mid-step. Traffic slowed as drivers leaned out of their windows, staring at the sidewalk like they'd stumbled into something unreal. Ozzy! Someone shouted again. But Ozzy didn't react. He didn't stand up, didn't wave, didn't acknowledge the growing noise around him. He stayed seated on the cold concrete, focused only on the man beside him. The veteran finished the final chord, his fingers trembling as the sound faded into the city noise. For half a second, there was silence. Then it hit. Applause exploded from every direction, clapping. Cheers. People shouting his name, not Ozzy's, but the vet's. The veteran blinked, overwhelmed. He lowered the guitar and wiped his eyes with the back of his sleeve, embarrassed, but unable to hide it. I never thought anyone would listen, he said quietly. His voice cracked. I play every day, and people just walk past. Ozzy turned to him, not to the crowd, not to the cameras, to him. I did, Ozzy said. That was it. No speech, no explanation, and somehow, that mattered more than the applause still ringing in the air. People kept shouting Ozzy's name. Someone asked for a selfie. Someone yelled, Legend. Ozzy gently shook his head. Not today. This moment wasn't his. A woman in the crowd whispered, "I've never seen him like this." Another man muttered, "He's not acting." The veteran looked around, unsure where to place his eyes. "I don't know what to say," he admitted. Ozzy shrugged slightly. "You don't have to," he replied. The crowd slowly quieted, not because Ozzy demanded it, because they felt it. This wasn't a concert. This wasn't fan service. This was something private that just happened to unfold in public. Ozzy reached down and adjusted the guitar case, straightening it gently. A small, respectful gesture that didn't go unnoticed. "You play like someone who's lived," he said. "That's not something you teach." The veteran nodded, swallowing hard. "I almost stopped," he admitted. Thought it didn't matter anymore. Ozzy met his eyes. "It matters," he said firmly, "even when no one's listening." That line stayed with everyone there. People lowered their phones, not because the moment wasn't worth capturing, but because it suddenly felt wrong to interrupt. For the first time in a long time, the veteran didn't feel invisible. Ozzy reached into his coat. The movement was small, almost unnoticed at first, but the veteran saw it. He stiffened immediately and shook his head. "No, no," he said quickly, pushing the guitar case slightly away. "I don't want charity." His voice wasn't angry. It was tired. Pride mixed with exhaustion. "I didn't play for money," he added. "I just play." The crowd watched closely now. Some people expected Ozzy to insist. Others expected him to smile it off. Instead, Ozzy stopped. He raised one hand gently. "This isn't charity," he said calmly. "This is respect." The words landed differently. Ozzy didn't argue, didn't pressure him. He simply reached down and placed something inside the open guitar case. Softly, no announcement. Then he reached into his coat again, placed something else. Then one more time. The veteran looked down. At first, he didn't understand what he was seeing. His breath caught. His hands began to shake. Not because of the amount, because of what it meant. He stared at the case for a long moment, then looked back up. "Why me?" he asked quietly. "Out of everyone here, why me?" The crowd leaned in. Ozzy met his eyes. "No drama. No speech. Because talent doesn't disappear when life gets hard," he said. "And neither does worth." The words hit deeper than applause ever could. The veteran swallowed hard. "I've been treated like I don't exist," he admitted, "like I'm invisible." Ozzy nodded. "I saw you," he said. "That's enough." Silence spread through the crowd. Not awkward silence. Respectful silence. A woman wiped her eyes. A man lowered his phone completely. The veteran closed the guitar case slowly, carefully, like it held something fragile. "Thank you," he said, barely above a whisper. Ozzy shook his head. "Don't thank me," he replied. "Keep playing." The veteran laughed softly, overwhelmed. "I will," he said. "I promise." Ozzy stood up slowly. Before stepping away, he paused and turned back. "You didn't lose your gift," he said. "You just needed someone to remind you." The veteran nodded, unable to speak. Ozzy took a step into the crowd. People parted instinctively. No shouting, no pushing, just quiet understanding. Behind him, the veteran sat a little straighter than before. For the first time that day, he didn't feel like a homeless man. He felt like a musician again. Ozzy stood up slowly. The movement drew attention again, but he didn't play to it. He brushed dust from his coat like any other person getting off the ground. The veteran looked up, unsure if this was the end of it. Ozzy took a step away, then stopped. He turned back. "You still play every day?" he asked. The question caught the vet off guard. "Yes," he answered after a beat. "Every day, rain or shine." Ozzy nodded. "Good," he said simply. The word carried weight. He reached into his coat again, not hurried, not dramatic, and pulled out a small card. He didn't wave it. Didn't announce anything. He handed it directly to the veteran. "Because someone's going to want to hear you play indoors," Ozzy said. "Somewhere warm. Somewhere people sit down and listen." The vet stared at the card, didn't take it at first. "Is this Real? He asked quietly. Ozzy shrugged. It's a door, he said. You still have to walk through it. No promises. No guarantees. No fairy tale language. Just opportunity. The veteran finally took the card, holding it between his fingers like it might disappear if he squeezed too hard. He looked down at the name, then the number, then back at Ozzy. I don't even know what to say, he admitted. Ozzy smiled slightly. Then don't, he said. Just keep playing. The crowd watched in silence. No cheering this time. They understood this wasn't the kind of moment you clap for. This was someone being trusted. Ozzy took another step back, giving the veteran space. Before turning away, he added one last thing. You've already done the hard part, he said. You didn't quit. The veteran swallowed hard. I almost did, he confessed. Ozzy met his eyes. But you didn't, he replied. That mattered. Ozzy turned and began to walk away, blending back into the city as easily as he had arrived. No entourage followed. No cameras chased him. The veteran stayed seated, staring at the card in his hand. For a long moment he didn't move. Then he placed the card carefully inside the guitar case, closed it, and rested his hand on top. It wasn't a contract, it wasn't a promise. But for the first time in years, it felt like a future. The video spread fast. At first, it lived on a few phones, then on timelines, then everywhere. Millions watched a rock legend sit on cold concrete beside a homeless veteran, not above him, not separated from him. Just present, no stage, no spotlight, no performance. People didn't share it because it was Ozzy Osbourne. They shared it because of what he didn't do. He didn't make it about himself. He didn't turn it into a moment for praise. He didn't speak louder than he needed to. He listened. Comments poured in. This restored my faith in humanity. That vet could play. This is what respect looks like. Days later, the veteran posted an update. Not a flashy announcement, not a victory speech. Just a short message. He had a place to stay, temporary, but safe. He had been invited into a small studio. Nothing big. Nothing guaranteed, but real. I'm still playing every day, he wrote. Just indoors now. The post ended with one line. Thank you for seeing me. Ozzy never reposted the video. He never commented, never explained. When asked about it later, he shrugged it off. He played a good song, he said. That's it. And somehow, that made the moment even bigger. Because the story was never about a celebrity helping a homeless man. It was about what happens when talent meets respect, without judgment, without pity. The sidewalk went back to being loud. Cars passed. People rushed by. But for one man, something had shifted. Not because someone saved him, because someone listened. And sometimes, that's enough to change everything. If you believe talent deserves respect no matter where it's found, type respect and subscribe for more real stories.